Hey, what is going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and if you've ever been in this situation here, where let's say you had to rebuild your database on your PS4 accidentally or on purpose, and when you go to restart it, you're missing pretty much all of your applications and your fake package files and games, well, this is thankfully pretty simple to resolve. This symptom will typically happen whenever you rebuild your database, and you can see right here, I end up going into safe mode and rebuilding mine. Now, do not follow what I'm doing unless you want to have the same issue. I did it on purpose just to demonstrate this here on the system. However, if you have rebuilt your database and you notice you're back over at the PS4, but you have none of your games here, you can even go into library, none of them are there, and finally, we can even check the storage and check this out. It might be a little bit confusing because you'll see that your system storage does have this taken up, and it even has your application data there, but nothing obviously shows up on the main menu itself. Well, this should hopefully get you sorted out. You are going to need a few things, however, in order to restore this. You first will need your PS4 up and running and working, and you're going to need your jailbreak method operational. Finally, you're also going to need a USB drive, and you're going to need something to transfer a file over to it, such as a computer, a phone, or anything else, as long as you can get a file downloaded and transferred to that USB drive, because we're going to be using Itemzflow for this. So with that, let's go ahead, grab a USB drive, and I'm going to move over to my PC. I'll have this linked down below in the description, but this here is the GitHub repository for Itemzflow. Now, when you come over here, you can go over to the releases page, and it does show the different releases and support available for these versions. However, you can't get the download directly from here. You'll have to click on download the PKG at, and there's going to be a link to PKG Zone. From here, you can click the link, and this will have Itemzflow Game Manager available. We're going to download the package file for PS4. Once you have the package downloaded, it's going to look something like this. Just go ahead, right click, copy this out, and plug in a USB drive that you can use on the PS4. Now I have a USB flash drive here, and it must be either exFAT or FAT32 in file system. Once it's been set up like that, you can just navigate in there, paste in the package file, come back out here, right click, eject, and take it over to the PS4. At the PS4, plug in your USB drive if you haven't already done so, and now jailbreak the system. Like I said, you can use whichever method works best for you and your system. I'm personally going to use BDJB, so let me go ahead and jailbreak. Now, as you can see, it was able to close out of it. I am running Goldhen, so that's a good sign that this is jailbroken. So at this point now, we need to get this all set up and installed. What you'll need to do is navigate over to your settings, go all the way down to debug settings. Within here, go to game, go to your package installer. Again, make sure your USB drive has been plugged in, and I'm going to install Itemzflow. Now, if you've already installed it before, you're going to get a message like this. Just go ahead, navigate over and say yes, and then wait for it to install. And there we go. Once it's been installed, you can exit out of here, and we do have Itemzflow available, yet again, especially if you had it before. So go ahead and launch Itemzflow. It's going to ask here if you want to download covers. This is up to you. I've already downloaded them before, so I'm going to say don't ask again. And there we go, everything's loaded in. Now once Itemzflow loads in here, you just have to press the options button on your controller and navigate down to this option here, which is Rebuild FPKG Database, and tap the X button. There's going to be 3 options available for rebuilding your database. The first one here is to rebuild the internal database. This one says it's to restore missing XMB games, apps, and DLCs from the internal storage, including app to USB if you've had that set up. The second one is going to be for the DLC only, which only restores the missing DLC on internal and extended storage drives. So if you have an external drive that has some games or content on there, this will also work for you. Next, the final option here is going to be to reactivate the extended storage games and content that got disabled. Again, if using an extended storage drive, that would be applicable. So out of those 3 options, you're probably at minimum going to need the internal database one, but even if you have to use all 3, that is totally fine. The minimum one we need though is internal database, so select your option and tap the X button, and let it rebuild. You can see here it is showing my games, my content, all that stuff, so it's able to find everything successfully. We just need to let it do its thing. And there we go. At the end, it says number of apps fixed, 18, not fixed, 0, which that's all I had on here. So you can now hit OK. And with that done, if you have to rebuild anything else, such as rebuilding only DLC, if you only care about DLCs, you could have done that. Or if you have an external drive, you can go ahead and do the reactivate extended content there. But since we're done here, we can go ahead and close out of Itemzflow. So there we go. And since that's been done, we now need to reboot our system. So hold down the PlayStation button on your controller, go to power, and restart PS4. And there we go. After reboot for good measure, it might look about the same, but what we can do is navigate over and check it out. Right when I did that, everything else popped up. If you're still not seeing the rest of your game show up, you can also just go over to your library, check it out right here. Now these ones are padlocked because of course they are fake packages, but you could see really all I did was do a reboot and they've come back. You can even check out the storage again, and just to show you like I did before, we can go over to storage, let it load up a bit, and it should be about the same amount of storage here. Yep, there's that, so everything is showed up. Now to actually test and make sure these work, you just need to jailbreak your system yet again using your preferred option. For this, I'll of course be using BDJB. Now since the system has successfully been jailbroken, we can scroll back over and you can see it's pretty obvious the system's jailbroken now. Of course we also have gold hen showing up, but if I try and fire up something such as PT, well, not only this is now showing up, but it's also booting, which neither of those were a factor prior. So congratulations, you've been able to successfully restore your lost fake package files, content, and more on here. That's really all you have to do. Now, if you're wondering why I was using Itemzflow for this as opposed to some of the other options, it's just because Itemzflow seems to have those three options available. So if you just want to rebuild your database, only want to do DLCs, or you want to focus specifically on an extended storage drive, you have all those options there. And speaking of that, of course, we can come back over here, and with our options, well, we have many more games and applications that we can now mess around with compared to what it was just a few minutes ago. So hopefully you've been able to avert having a little bit of a crisis by losing all your games, having to reinstall them because they were there the whole time, they just had to have the database rebuilt. But either way, that is about it for this video here. This is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated, and if you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too.